On to the next idea, or the next step. Once they're good and sealed together, you know, I have a cat, and fur travels in the air and lands on your ornaments. Wipe them down before you do anything else. Get rid of the dust. The cat fur, whatever, fingerprint, finger marks. And usually I use 70% to 90% rubbing alcohol. Let me show you why I am deciding on going with dessert plates. So here's your disc ornament. And these run between $4 to $8 a piece, depending on where you purchase them from. And then here's your dessert plate. See the difference? This one's larger. So this is why I decided to come up with this idea. I want something larger, and it's a different design because I am using a lot of napkins and photos. And look at that, there's a little ridge around it where you can place your photo. You can also, and I've done this already with the larger ones, before you glue them together, place your photo on the inside of the plate and then seal it, and then you can paint over it. Okay, that's another secret here, but this is why. A little bit bigger to work with. Here's your globe ornament. I made the snow globes already with the little peekaboo hole. See it? So you have a little bit larger, flatter, easier to apply your clay to than having to struggle with adding it and holding on to it. This ornament, doing the inside first and then the outside, took me 15 days to do. This ornament took me about 6 days. Okay? These ornaments are only taking me 3 days. Another reason why I decided to go with the dessert plates. My time has been narrowed down to 3 days. And of course, I'm applying lesser items as well. But okay, so let's get to the next step. Chalk paint is very easy to apply, and it doesn't stink either, but you need to start with a new base on plastic. Clay will not adhere and stay to plastic, and I don't care what glue you use. Plastic is very, very shiny and glossy, so we have to make a layer of paint before we do anything else. So chalk paint both sides. I need to mention that silicone mat that I had underneath my dessert plate. Now chalk paint will wash off, however Fabri-Tac glue has a hard time coming off from silicone mat. I grabbed this out of the kitchen. This is my cutting board. It's tempered glass. If you are just starting to work with Fabri-Tac, this is a big, huge suggestion. Use tempered glass. So while the glue is drying, if you use too much, it'll drip. But guess what? Once it dries, you can just use a fingernail or a putty knife or whatever, and it'll come off. But on the silicone mats that I use to roll out and play with the clay, that won't work with fabric tack glue, okay? Anyhow, I have a coat. It's dried. I can choose two options. Another layer of chalk paint. If I want my background to be white, I add different color paint. I have not completed an all white background, so to me the coverage is good enough. To you it might not be, okay? If you do use 2 to 3 layers of chalk paint, sand it down, because sometimes you will get a little heaping in between the ridges, and then later on when you add your crackle paint and your clay, you'll have a little bubble there. So I did want to tell you, use tempered glass if you're just learning how to manipulate fabric tack. Fabric tack does have a little nozzle to control the flow right there. Okay, you want to keep that clean. It's not like E6000. Once you open it up, it just goes all over the place. This is a really nice design, nice bottle for it. Another reason why I just absolutely like Beacon and Craft 3-in-1, but I'm using fabric tack with a lot of this because the paper clay adheres good with fabric tack. Also, another tip about fabric tack. Let's say you hang your ornaments up this year and then want to use them next year. You have to, there's going to be dust around your ornaments, right? You're going to have to wipe it down. If you use a little water, guess what? With fabric tack, these won't come off. Fabric tack is waterproof. Now, as you can see, I'm adding gold beads because I want to tie in. I've decided I do want to tie in a gold ornament on the tree this year. So I am adding my very final doodad to add to these ornaments to tie them in all together. Will be gold beads. But that's what reason why I like fabric tack as well. You can wipe down your ornaments for next year. Okay? Well, if you're satisfied with your coating, like I said, if you want an all white ornament, add another coat of chalk paint. Okay. I use this bonding primer. There's a lot of bonding primers out there at a lot of different brands. But I prefer this one. This will be my next step. Adding bonding primer to a dry chalk painted dessert plate. A new brush. Bristles are nice and even. Nothing's coming out. Pull on a few of them. You don't want this. You don't want after the cleaning and everything you've done, you don't want a little bristle to attach to your ornament. So, very thin layer bonding primer. That's all you have to do. I'll do one side first and then let it dry before I flip it over and do the second side. I do not use a hair dryer or a heat gun during this process because it actually, the heat will reheat the bonding primer, and then eventually it'll just be tacky and sticky as well. It'll never dry. You just use a little bit. Nothing fancy. Place it over the ornament. You just created a new surface to work with. Plastic not included. Thin layer guess what? Another mold here. Came in the mail. And guess which one it is? Aha, let's see. Oh, yeah. It's a hot air balloon. Doesn't that remind you of Wizard of Oz? Okay, that will work. That will work for these dessert plates. All right, I'm going to finish up adding bonding primer. Allow it to cure for 1 hour before I continue. Another idea, before sealing, place a photo inside. This is a napkin, right? Now I did not podge it because it does leave a smear. I just taped it, okay? Place it inside first and then use your fabric tack and seal it up. The white paint will then, I will just go over to the rim with white paint because I will be placing, where's my, oh, it's right here, a trim around it. So that area would be covered anyways. Cut a photo, stick it in there first, and just tape it. If you will do it the way I'm doing it, and that is painting and priming it next. Do that first. That's an idea. Okay, an hour has passed. Hey, here's a quick tip. You want to use the same brush, use Saran Wrap to wrap it up while you're waiting in between dry times. Now I'm going to add the sides primed. Now I am priming the back side. As you notice, I am video filming in segments because I don't want to do a complete ornament and run the camera because it's on the phone, and the camera will eventually need to be recharged, or the phone, will go dead. The battery will go dead. So I videotape as I go along in each step, and sometimes it'll take me a while longer than like an hour or whatever, but I'm still on day 1, and I want to show you a lot of the photos I am getting my ideas from is from this deck of cards that I picked up on Amazon. And I can use this side, or I can use the same. There's Emerald City. Oh, we're almost there at last, at last. It's beautiful, isn't it? And that's from Dorothy. And I use these. This is what I'm using. So after I prime, get the dessert plate ready, or any of my ornaments ready, I look through who I want to do next. Here was Toto, and on the higher level cards is the Cowardly Lion's Courage, and more of the main characters like the monkey, and here's the lion again. And then Ace of Hearts says Diploma. So you know who was awarded that, the Scarecrow. The lower number cards have quotes. See? Here's the Scarecrow. Here's the heart. Anyways, these pictures are what I've been using. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to figure out who I'm going to do next. And then sometimes I take this party plate. You can pick up the party pack on Amazon, and I will cut out a circle and place that on the design as well. So I've been using this too. And then napkins, of course. I have the napkins from the party pack. And I have a Dorothy napkin that's I've used for Toto. For like anything to do with Dorothy, I'm going to use that as a background because you cannot find her face anywhere on a napkin. So that's my next step. While this is drying and curing, I'm going to try to figure out what I will do next. Now the wizard says, experience is the only thing that brings knowledge, the wizard. And look at that, has a little balloon on it. So there you go. I can do him next. Oh, and there's another one. I am Oz, the great and powerful. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. If only I had a heart. Or that's the Tin Man. So anyways, and then there's a photo of Oz. You know, there's the Tin Man. I have a variety of ideas, so let's see what I'll do. Okay, moving right along. You don't need to see a segment of me painting. But I decided to go with different faded colors because remember, I am using crackle paint over all this. So we have one side I'm doing first. So I have Wizard of Oz as the alter evil ego he has. And then we have the calmer one. And then here's that ornament that has the tape and has the picture inside before I glued it. So you can place them in the inside first and then crackle paint, or place them on the outside and crackle paint over it. Either way, it turns out fine. So I'm letting all this dry. We're going into the evening hours now before I apply the very first layer of the classic crackle, because that's going to be my last step for the day. Okay, because I need that to cure and crack up overnight. So here's what I've done so far. Prepped, used bonding primer, cut out my photos, glued with fabric tack, painted my background colors. So we'll come back in the evening. Here I am. I'm back. It's in the evening, supper time. And I already coated 2 of the ornaments. And I wanted to show you, these are the ones with the photos. This is one with the photo under the glass. Now the thing about classic crackle varnish, it hides a lot of flaws as well. It not only allows the ornament to look aged and weathered or cracked, it also hides flaws. Now these dessert plates, when it's clear, does have an arrow on it in a center. But once you use crackle paint over it, it disappears. So first step, use component 1. And I go in the center first. Give it a good thick coat. And then I go on the outside of the ornament. Be generous. And it's a good idea when you let this set, or allow this to set down to cure, place it on a surface where the drips won't stick like I showed you earlier. I'm using my tempered glass cutting board. So you do with component 1. Simple, easy peasy. Yes, I'm doing one side first. That's why the ornaments take me 3 to 4 days. Okay, because I don't use a heat gun on any of these products. I allow it to cure overnight on its own, or the added amount of time that is described on the bottle. Okay, first coat, Crackle Classic 1 is on. See how it turns out with the crackle over a photo. I used gold mica on this one. You could see it. Beautiful. And it works over the glass or the plastic as well, with the photo underneath the glass. This one I placed before I glued the two pieces together. And look at the crackle show. Isn't that cute? Isn't that pretty? Yes, it hides your flaws as well. This is with the photo underneath and then one placed over on the top. And then the clay's on top of the crackle paint. That is what I'll do tomorrow. I'll add some clay molds. Alrighty, let's wait for this to dry. I'll give it an hour or so, maybe 2 hours. And I'll place the second coat on right before bedtime. All right, out of the 3, I decided to show you and demonstrate with this one because I think it would be easier for you to see it. Since there's little dips and then there's a flat surface, component number 2, when it's brushed on, it can't be lathered on like I did for component number 1. It has to be one stroke and then you go to the next space. One stroke, then you go to the next space. So what I do with these types of ornaments, I will brush on the flattest part of the ornament first. All right, so you go 1, 2, 1, 2, and I cover it like that. That's all you need. And then go down and around the sides and try to do one stroke. If you miss an area, that's okay. Well, it's still wet, but you only have a couple seconds to work with it. It already starts forming. You get used to it after you do it for a while. And if you use black for your base, you'll be able to see it. This green, it's hard to pick up where I left off, but I can see it. I can see it from here, so no need to worry. But that's all you do. painted these in different colors. This one's mostly a solid green, and the other two has some yellow. And the yellow, well, yeah, there's some yellow specks in this too. The yellow's fluorescent color. So I want to see if glow paint works under crackle paint. All right, that's where I left off. All right, that's all you have to do. Let her set. For this size bottle, the kit's usually $23. And then I just wash my brush with, I always use Dawn dish soap with all my brushes. Oh my goodness, you can see it forming on this one. Whoops, for sure. See that? Yeah, you only have a couple seconds to work with the second layer, so there it is. But this is in the evening and I'm ready to go to bed, so I will let this cure overnight and I'll start working on it tomorrow and adding some mica powder to bring the cracks out. You don't have to, you know, do that step when it's completely dry. You can just leave it as it is. But yeah, it's already forming. That's so cool, isn't it? Oh yeah, look at that. And this is the one where the picture is underneath, inside. So this forms on plastic that's not primed and painted. And when it is primed and painted and then has a photo on it. Good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow. This is February 1st, 2024. Well, I can't sleep. I'm up late at night, have the TV on to a movie. So I'm going to fill in the cracks. I use mica powder, and this is a pearl yellow. I like the gold effect, and of course I'm going to start in the center. Now, this takes very little, so what I'll do is pull from the center after I spread it out on the top here. Then I'll just take from it. Mica powder is very, very, very fine, and you don't want to breathe this stuff. When you apply it, do not add it when a fan is running, because these little pieces will end up in your lungs and up your nose. So that's my tip on how to apply mica powder. A little bit at a time, slowly, so the dust doesn't create a powdery storm. You want to keep this away from your face. See the cracks coming out on this? This really leaves a cute, sparkly gold pearlist color against the green, or against any color really. I have a box of mica powders. I have 24 different colors, but I am just going with gold. because I just think it's a lot nicer to contrast with the gold beads that I'm placing on all these ornaments to tie it in to the Christmas theme I'm going with in December. You bear with me because we're only in February. So yeah, we have quite a few months to go, but a lot of time available to get these done right. And I bring it to you on my YouTube channel just so you can have an idea. You don't have to copy me. I don't expect you to copy me. You take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and create your own art. Art is freedom. That's the motto. Just like a fingerprint. Each hand has a fingerprint. And guess what? No two fingerprints are alike. Well, no two snowflakes are not alike. And what else is not alike? Our imaginations. Every human's imagination is different. I like how I used the darker green to kind of make a pattern on this. And once I gently rub all this in, I'm placing it so that it's on a plate, so this don't get on my craft table. That way I can take it into the kitchen and the plate as well and wash it. Now I can see the dust when I do this. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, but anyhow. That's one. Set it aside. I'll show you the first one that I did off camera. So that's number 2. And save the best for last because this will show up really nice on the camera. Here we go. Look at that. So I'm going to cut this, finish it off, go take it with in the kitchen over the sink and use a tissue and wipe it off completely, and then I'm going to wash the plate. On the back side, I only use Mod Podge glitter. I do not use crackle paint, so I can save my supply. Good morning. I didn't get up till 10 o'clock. No snow here in Michigan. This is the weirdest winter for February. We usually have piles and piles of it. So let's get started. The enamel that I placed on the dessert plates early this morning has made a great seal. Nothing will scratch us, nothing will chip the paint. So I'm going to turn them over. This one I did not paint white yet, but I'm going to turn them over, and I'm going to add the photos and the crackle paint now on the other side today, and then paint and use bonding primer for this. That way, you know, I'm not going to use the clay molds just yet. I'm going to get this side done, and try to find some photos and decide how I want to decorate backside. So this is my suggestion while working with ornaments in particular. Do the one side first until you can get a varnish or a seal on it. That way you don't ruin your work when you're working on the back side of the ornament or the inside of an ornament or the outside. So somebody asked me the other day, well, how do you do all this? In what order do you do it? Now, I always prime the ornament first. I prep it, okay? And then I work in the inside first. And that takes about a day or two because you have to wait for the clay also to harden, and then you go in to paint everything. Then I put varnish on it. And then I can flip it upside down and start working on the back side, okay? And then later on, you always have a hanging doodad up at the top, which is a pipe cleaner for now right here. And then I can add extras. Your outside trims and your extras is the last thing you do and add. And then when you're completely finished and satisfied with your colors, your sparkle, everything else, you can either Mod Podge it, triple thick it, or like I do, I spray coat it with enamel to seal it. So, you know, fingernails doesn't scratch and ruin these ornaments. They last a lifetime. Alrighty, this is what I'm going to do today. Grab my coffee, wake my butt up, and I do want to bring to you another thing to look up on my channel, and that's the playlists. On the playlist section, I have mop dowels, I have gnomes, I have wreaths ideas, repurpose ideas, a catio idea, and then we have Basha's coffee and crafts. These ornaments are going on that playlist as well. But if you get bored with this Wizard of Oz series, go back into my playlists and you'll be amazed what I have brought to this channel since 2017. Seriously, you will be amazed. So let's get started on Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Well, I'm back and I already placed my clay molds on two of them. Okay. Nothing fancy, just a trim. Sometimes I make them up and then I store them when I have little leftover clay. And this was in storage, and this one was in storage, so that's what I'm going to do. This is the last one to demonstrate to you. And use my fabric tack. Everything's dry and clean. And since this has a little rim, the dessert plates have a rim, I place the glue right around the rim. And then I figure out if I want some more areas, which I do. I'm going to place a Christmas tree. The only problem is with this glue is see how it sticks like bubble gum? It's very sticky. So I'm going to place this Christmas tree right over this area. Press down on it. And then I made up a mold on the Prima design. And it's best when you pull it out to place it upside down. Let gravity work with you. And I do believe I want to place another holly somewheres. Then I take the longer form and I gently guide it while it's still wet. This clay is still pliable and wet to form it as a frame, or you know, whatever you want to call it. This has little ribbons on it, but it just depends on what color I paint it. And see how I have a little bit left? So I can either add some of the pre-existing molds here that I've already made up to cover that. You look to see what I have. Oh, I don't like any of them that are left. So, make a, no, that's too big. All right, these will be my hooks. So let me disrobe, let me remove these two for now and figure out what I want to put in that little section. And I already sealed up my clay, so I was hoping I'd be able to use something that was already made, but it looks like no. So I'll have to reach in, grab just a little bit more, because I'm just filling that little gap. Try not to get air in your package. I usually store it inside a Ziploc bag as well. Then I use a little pen. Okay, so just need about that much to finish up that little section. There I go. So I have a little bit of clay left. I don't waste it, so I just might, okay, I'll use it for this little holly. There, now I don't waste the clay. Alrighty, we'll take it out. Figure out which way I want it. And then I'll just cut it. And then form it. So what do you think? Now, I can paint on this one layer right now if I wanted to, but I will let it cure for a couple hours and come back to it later on tonight. But see how the glitter was already in that glossy Mod Podge? once I'm finished with this side, then I can work on the original side with the crackle paint. All right, while I am recording, here's the bag of hooks from Amazon. This is how I would make one of my hooks. All right, the leaf will fall on the plate, so I'm going to place these two together like that. And what I'm going to do is just glue the center right now, because later on I need the leaves to adhere to the top of the ornament. All right, so there's a little glue. There's your hook. You know, rest it up above the mold. Press into it a little bit. And then glue these two pieces together the best way you can. Okay, this will be open. Once it dries, I can slip it through here and glue it. Okay, that's how I do the holly hooks. And there you go. There's my hook for one of them. I have to make 2 more hooks. And that's simple as that. To save on my crackle paint kit, I only Mod Podged with glitter the second part of the ornament. When I glue the hanger hook to the ornament, I have to stand it upright. And these are very hard to stand upright, so I just wedge it in between some bottles. I want to thank you for watching this. I am taping this in segments, and probably it'll be 3 or 4 days. When you watch YouTube videos, you see somebody making an ornament and they're done in a half hour, but you have to remember, either they're doing it and allowing things to air dry on its own, like I am. That's why it takes 3 days. And you see the calendar and the time and stuff that I stamp on these segments, or they're using a hair dryer to dry things quicker. And I've already explained, when you use crackle paint, the 2-step, you can reheat it, and then it can really hurt and damage your project. Allowing things to naturally air dry, I know it's time consuming, but once again, I explained, back when Picasso was painting and Rembrandt, all them famous people, you know, they did their stuff, and it did take them months to complete. But they didn't have products that we have today as well, and they didn't use heat. And they were mostly in humidity type countries, and they did not consider the humidity either in the rooms where they were painting. That's why the museums are constantly retouching up these paintings and keeping them in a temperature control box. And as a new crafter or new artist, you don't think about them things. You just think about getting this project done and getting it done as fast as you can. And with the glues that work faster, like, for example, hot glue. You never see me put hot glue on my ornaments. Nope. Hot glue is a plastic glue. And guess what happens? It will cure the same way it's going in. A solid. And hot glue does not like humidity. It does not like cold. So sometimes I might have my house without the heat on and it might get really cold in the house. You make things with hot glue, it stiffens the glue. It can actually crack the glue. Or let's say your house gets really hot and you go away for a week and you forget to leave the air conditioner on and you have all these beautiful things hanging around with hot glue. Well, guess what? You might come home and it's all slipped off. So it got too hot in the house. Hot glue reheats. It activates with heat. Fabric tack is waterproof. I have used fabric tack with my patches on my jean jacket. I have washed and rewashed my jean jacket. And it is in a video. And it has not come apart. Can you believe that? Under hot water. No. And that's why I really like it. And it is acid free. Where E6000, you won't see that in my stash. Too much acetone in it. Boy, oh boy, acetone likes to remove nail polish off your nails. But you know what? If you do that all the time, that acetone eventually can eat the cuticle on your nail as well. It's not good for your nail. But it does remove your polish so you can you can paint your nails again. That's what E6000 has, is acetone. So why would you want an acetone type glue to put together your projects? Because eventually that acetone under the clay or under that plastic eats the plastic or the clay and it will come off. I don't care what people say. I've learned my lessons in my journey. And I've been crafting for over 50 years now. I'm 58 and I started crafting when I was 8. And all the new products that come out on the market, I have tried and tested and crafted when I was working. You know, I just had few hours a week to myself. I would craft. Now it's a full time because I'm retired and the kids are grown and I like to bring all my ideas to you and the fan base. But I'll tell you what, I will not use E6000 or hot glue on any ornament I make. Nope, not a drop of hot glue on this at all. Or E6000. Or for the matter, that idea, which is on a video. You don't see it in my craft supplies at all. But this is me and my preference. So I just wanted to talk with you about that and a little bit about why I do not use it. So I'm going to allow this to cure like I said. I turned the light off, but look at that. I'm using this new light from my son. Watch the difference in the ornament. Look at that. You can really see the colors. That's the best investment ever, I'm telling you. Turn the light off. Yeah, see? Alrighty. I think what I'll do is paint all this up, varnish it all, flip it, and I will do the front side. And then I'm going to end the video by showing you what they look like when it's completed. Anybody can paint. And then, like I said, once you're finished what you want to apply, varnish it triple thick or enamel before you flip it over and work on the other side. Give it time. You can craft part-time if you're working. You know, leave this go. Leave it go for 3, 4, 5 days. It's not going anywhere. It's you know, unless you have cats and dogs and kids getting in this stuff, then put them away. Crafting is about time, not how fast you can do it. If you want to watch my videos in real time, I welcome you. If you want to go ahead to another video where it's done all in 30 minutes, go for it. But you wonder why when you get to the project and then you go back to it a year later, or you give it as a gift and then the person complains it falls apart. You wonder, well, what step did you miss when you were watching that video and watching that lady or that gentleman putting it all together? And believe me, there's a few men out there that create wreaths and projects and ideas as well as us ladies. But are they really knowledged in the glues that they're using any more than anybody else? Because I studied up on quite a bit of it. And I know why the crackle paint also crackles. You know, if you want to learn about that, you know, put it in the comment. You want to know why it crackles up. I'll tell you why. You get to crafting, read your bottles. Read your instructions. Don't just watch one video on YouTube. Watch a bunch of them. And then understand, if they're using hair dryers, they're speeding up the process. They're not allowing it to naturally cure. Alrighty. I will come back later. It'll probably be on February 3rd. Signing off for now. This is Basha. Good morning, good morning, good morning. No snow again. Wow. This is what I did yesterday, the rest of the day into the evening. I started on a third one. I'm doing it a little bit differently. Here we are. My hangers, they dried overnight. This one I made a stocking. And this one was the first one, and I already painted it yesterday. So today is Saturday. Are you ready? I'm going to work on this fourth one today, and then later on I will show you the final results on the first three. Later on in the month, maybe come up with another idea. I go in for shoulder surgery in March, so that's why I'm pretty much trying to kick out a good majority of them in February, because I do not know how long I will be out for rehabilitation. And sure, I can show you everything with one hand, but to mold the clay and glue and the paint, I need both hands. So one of my arms will be in a sling. Just to warn you ahead of time, my 2 to 3 fans that watch my channel. Thank you. Alrighty, let's get started for today, Saturday, February 3rd, 2024. Get some brighter light on the subject here. Yeah, I used that hot air balloon mold. Glued everything last night. I think the same pattern for this side. Then I will use some type of paint or an antiquing. But these three turned out cool. Cool, cool. Let's turn on the bright light. Look at that. Shimmer, shimmer, shake. Shimmer, shimmer, shine. We're off to see the wizard. Yep, and I did spray coat enamel on them already, except for up here. But everything has enamel, so nothing will scratch. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, congratulations. Most of my videos will be short. This one will be long, and it'll include some information. Okay, I've already explained a little bit earlier, a day before, or 2 days ago, about fabric tack. Okay, fabric tack has cellulose in it. Cellulose. It's like really sticky. Bubblegum has cellulose in it. Cellulose comes from wood and wood pulp. Okay, you already know that. What have I been using as paint? I never went over this. And I started it with the very first ornament. Okay, and I've used it with all these other ornaments. It is waterproof fabric paint. Waterproof fabric paint. I purchased a whole box of these colors for Legacy in the summer because she was painting t-shirts. T-shirts are made with cotton, right? And linen, right? Acrylic polymer attaches very nicely to cotton, linen, etc., etc. What is clay made from? Other than clay, it's a mixture of linen. It could be from plants such as hemp and paper, etc., etc. Well, between this and this and that, I wonder why I'm getting such a nice bond for everything. Because they all relate to one another. And I have to use up the paint. I'm not going out and buying a whole bunch of apple barrel paints when I have all this fabric paint. I've been using the red and the green and the gold and a whole box of them. Right over here is fabric paint. And then, of course, I have fluorescent fabric paint I am using as well. This is fabric paint. Will I change your mind while you watch everybody else's videos about what they're using? Because they're actually probably using a brand they are sponsoring and selling. I use a bunch of stuff that works for me. Plus, I have proven that it lasts as well. Unfortunately, the shelf life of waterproof fabric colors is not that long. So that's why I'm using all these bottles up for my ornaments, on top of the idea that it all correlates together. And then the bonding primer, of course, that I used to start my ornaments to get rid of that plastic. So, once again, acrylic polymer paint, good for linen, cotton, wood, anything porous, and it's waterproof. You can wash it and wash it and wash it. Won't come apart. Same with fabric tack. Wash, wash, wash. It won't come apart. And then, of course, clay, being that it can absorb a lot of paints, and it can absorb oils and acrylics and watercolors, stuff like that. But with the fabric, it really is taking to the agents that the acrylic polymer has to adhere and bond with the clay, paper clay, okay? And then at the end, I just use Rub and Buff to bring out some of the highlights. But that's an oil base, okay? And that's something to talk about later. But I did want to explain to you what I am using to paint my ornaments with. And I never will talk about it again. This is the only video I'm talking about it and explaining why I am using the products I am using, okay? It has lasted me. It lasts. Believe me. Oh boy, you know, they all correlate with one another. Everything else is kind of foreign that we're adding. But this and this and this. It's a family. It's a family affair. All right, I'm finishing up my ornaments. I'm painting up the top hooks. Rub and Buff. I'm going to add a little bit of this glitter to the holly, and maybe even the the little stocking just to bring out the color, and then I'm going to display this. Thank you for watching and listening. If you want to learn anything else, ask me in the comment and I will answer it.